So one of the first things that obviously you want to do prior to going ahead and seeding your field is making sure that you pick the correct field. Hemp, first of all, with regards to field selection, really likes a clay loam type soil. So any heavier soils with straight or heavy in clay, we don't get that water infiltration and we get water ponding during large rain events or even subsequent smaller rain events. Hemp does not like its feet wet, just does not like that at all. It gets chlorotic in the middle and starts to deteriorate after that, especially if it cannot get oxygen to those roots in time. So that's one of the first things is, I guess, assessing what your land base is. And you don't want it, unless you have irrigation capabilities, you don't want it on your lightest land, because at the same time it does require enough moisture for growth. And usually that amount of moisture on literature is anywhere from probably 8 to 12 inches of moisture, available moisture throughout the growing season, so with snow catch and rain. There are a couple of things to consider under crop rotation. First of all, what crop was there previous and how is that going to affect if you have any volunteers in the crop, and how that is going to affect the quality after the end. But more predominantly is what herbicides may or may not have been sprayed on that field, and of course what the nutrient uptake of that previous crop was. So with regards to fertility, first of all, we like to see hemp follow a legume crop. It does like its nitrogen. We do see a good response to nitrogen, phosphate, potassium, and in some cases sulfur. So you want to make sure that you are able to meet the crop that you're planting, the hemp crop's needs, through fertilizer requirements, or if you're organic, how are you going to rebuild the soil excuse me, for those nutrients that are very important to hemp. So following a legume is always a great idea. Anybody that's in the alfalfa seed business, coming out of an alfalfa crop, growing hemp is a great idea. Crops such as faba beans, peas, always a good idea also. That being said, we can certainly plant hemp into just about any stubble rotation that you do have. I've planted it both in canola stubble, wheat, barley, and oats. And the one concern that I mentioned earlier is with regards to quality, is that some of these varieties and cultivars that we're working with now have much shorter stature than we did, say, even 7 or 8, 10 years ago. That being said, that takes the crop canopy closer to the ground, which helps aid in harvest management. However, we do start to see those volunteers might cause a problem. So most of the processors are claiming a gluten-free status because hemp does not have any gluten in it. But if you have wheat in your sample and it's difficult to clean wheat out of the sample occasionally, that could pose a problem. So that's really on the crop rotation history. Hemp is very susceptible to a lot of herbicides. That's what makes it extremely tough to find actually a herbicide that you can use in the crop here in Canada. So it is a very limited number of herbicides that can be used. But that being said, any residual herbicide should probably be avoided. So crops that you're growing, any of the IMIs Group 2, that's just be cautious that there could be some issues with regards to that residue in the soil.